In the shadowy corridors of history, few organizations have captured the imagination quite like the Knights Templar. These warrior monks, simultaneously pious soldiers, skilled bankers, and political kingmakers, emerged from humble beginnings in 11 and 19 to become one of the most powerful forces in medieval Europe within just decades. Their distinctive white mantles, emblazoned with the Red Cross, represented not just military might, but an unprecedented amalgamation of religious devotion and worldly power that fundamentally reshaped the medieval world. The Templar story reads like fiction. 9 knights pledging to protect Christian pilgrims in the Holy Land, transforming into an organization so wealthy and influential that kings and popes both coveted their favor and feared their reach. For nearly 2 centuries, they operated with remarkable autonomy, answerable only to the Pope himself. Then came their spectacular downfall, a Friday the 13th arrest in October 1307, orchestrated by the debt-ridden King Philip IV of France, followed by trials built on confessions extracted through torture, culminating in their Grand Master Jacques de Molay's execution by burning in 1314. But history is rarely so neat. The abruptness of their fall and the subsequent disappearance of their vast holdings have fueled centuries of speculation, legend, and mystery. What happened to their immense wealth? Did they possess sacred artifacts from Solomon's temple? Were their infamous trials based on genuine heretical practices or merely a king's greed? And perhaps most tantalizingly, did the order truly dissolve, or did it simply go underground? Recent years have witnessed a renaissance in Templar scholarship. Newly discovered manuscripts, archaeological findings, and reinterpretation of existing records have begun to separate historical fact from romantic fiction. 5 particularly compelling secrets, some rooted in historical record, others in persistent legend, have emerged from the mists of time, challenging our understanding of this enigmatic order. These revelations take us beyond the popular fictional portrayals into a world where truth proves stranger than fiction. From hidden treasure vaults to clandestine political machinations, from mysterious initiation rites to evidence of their possible survival, the real story of the Knights Templar continues to unfold, 9 centuries after their supposed extinction. Perhaps no aspect of Templar lore captivates the imagination quite like their legendary treasure. When Philip IV's soldiers stormed Templar preceptories throughout France on October 13, 1307, they found themselves confronted with an unexpected mystery. The vast wealth they sought, gold, sacred relics, financial records, had seemingly vanished overnight. This disappearance spawned one of history's most enduring treasure hunts. The Templars' financial empire was unprecedented in medieval Europe. As the world's first international banking organization, they pioneered financial instruments resembling modern banking, issuing letters of credit, managing estates, collecting taxes, and extending loans to monarchs and nobles alike. Their Paris temple served as medieval France's treasury, and their network of preceptories functioned as secure repositories across Christendom. The Templars possessed sufficient wealth to buy the Kingdom of France, wrote one contemporary chronicler, perhaps with only slight exaggeration. Their fleet of ships regularly traveled between Europe and the Holy Land, ideally positioned to transport and safeguard valuable cargo. Beyond mundane wealth, persistent rumors suggest they possessed sacred artifacts from Solomon's temple, perhaps even the Holy Grail, or the Ark of the Covenant, discovered during excavations beneath Temple Mount in Jerusalem. Historical records offer tantalizing clues about the treasure's fate. The night before the mass arrests, a convoy of covered wagons reportedly departed the Paris temple, destination unknown. Templar ships vanished from the port of La Rochelle. When arrested, The order's treasurer claimed the entirety of the Paris treasury had been secretly transferred to the temple in London. Archaeological evidence has fueled further speculation. In 1981, Israeli archaeologists discovered a network of tunnels beneath the Templars' Jerusalem headquarters, potentially used for secretive excavations. The famous Copper Scroll, one of the Dead Sea Scrolls, details locations of hidden temple treasures that some scholars believe the Templars may have discovered using knowledge from Jewish converts in their ranks. Scotland emerges prominently in many Templar treasure theories. After Robert the Bruce received papal excommunication for murdering a rival in a church, he welcomed excommunicated Templars into his kingdom. Rosslyn Chapel, built by the Sinclair family, rumored Templar descendants in the 15th century, contains intricate carvings potentially mapping hidden vaults. Recent ground-penetrating radar studies have identified anomalies beneath the chapel floor that remain uninvestigated. Bornholm Island in Denmark, home to 4 round churches mirroring the Temple Church in London, has yielded mysterious rune stones with potential Templar connections. In France, Gisors Castle was rumored to hold Templar treasure in secret underground chambers. When partially excavated in 1946, workers discovered a hidden room before authorities abruptly halted the project. Modern historians generally agree the Templars' liquid assets were absorbed by other religious orders or seized by monarchs, particularly Philip IV, who forgave his substantial debts to the order after their dissolution. However, the disappearance of specific treasures, particularly religious relics, remains unexplained. Were these treasures spiritual or material? Did they represent dangerous knowledge rather than gold? Perhaps most intriguingly, could undiscovered Templar vaults still exist, concealed beneath medieval churches or remote castles, waiting for modern technology to reveal their secrets? The answer likely lies somewhere between historical reality and romantic imagination, much like the Templars themselves. The most damning accusations against the Knights Templar, those that ultimately led to their downfall, centered around their secretive initiation ceremonies. Behind closed doors, away from public scrutiny, what truly occurred when a new brother joined the order? The historical record offers contradictory accounts that continue to perplex scholars. When Philip IV's agents arrested Templar knights throughout France, the charges against them read like a medieval horror story: denying Christ, spitting on the cross, engaging in obscene kissing rituals, worshipping an idol called Baphomet, and practicing homosexuality. Under torture, many knights confessed to these charges, only to recant when briefly free from the Inquisitor's implements of pain. The sheen on parchment, rediscovered in the Vatican secret archives in 2001 after being misfiled for centuries, revealed that Pope Clement V privately absolved the Templar leadership of heresy charges in 1308, suggesting the pontiff himself doubted the accusation's validity. Yet he ultimately dissolved the order under political pressure from Philip IV, to whom he owed his papacy. What do we know with certainty about Templar initiation? The order's rule, written by Bernard of Clairvaux, outlined a ceremony combining religious solemnity with military practicality. Initiates vowed poverty, chastity, and obedience, surrendering all personal possessions. They promised never to leave the order and to defend Christianity with their lives. The white mantle with red cross was bestowed as both privilege and burden. But did darker elements exist beneath this official ceremony? Some confessions described a two-tiered initiation: the public religious ritual, followed by a secretive second ceremony for select members, where heretical acts allegedly occurred. Modern historians have proposed various interpretations of these confessions. Some suggest the denial of Christ may have been a test of obedience, forcing initiates to perform a seemingly sacrilegious act to prove their willingness to follow orders unquestioningly, crucial for battlefield discipline. Others propose that extended contact with Islamic and Eastern cultures influenced Templar thought, potentially introducing Sufi, Gnostic, or esoteric elements that medieval church authorities misinterpreted as heretical. The infamous Baphomet idol, never actually discovered despite extensive searches of Templar properties, remains particularly mysterious. Theories range from a corruption of Muhammad, to a representation of divine wisdom, to a bearded head allegedly preserving secret knowledge. Some scholars connect it to the enigmatic carved heads found in several Templar churches. Archaeological discoveries have added complexity to our understanding. Templar preceptories feature unusual octagonal designs, incorporating sacred geometry and astronomical alignments. Several churches contain imagery combining Christian symbolism with older pagan elements, pentacles, green men, and labyrinths, suggesting influences beyond Orthodox Catholicism. The Knights Templar operated at a unique historical crossroads, exposing European Christians to Eastern philosophies, Jewish mysticism, and Islamic scientific knowledge. Their initiation rites may have reflected this cultural amalgamation, maintaining Christian orthodoxy while incorporating elements from these diverse traditions. While we may never know exactly what transpired in Templar initiation chambers, the truth likely falls somewhere between complete innocence and the sensational accusations. These warrior monks, operating at the boundaries between cultures, religions, and worldviews, perhaps developed practices that defied easy categorization, making them vulnerable to misinterpretation by medieval authorities and endless fascination for modern scholars. Behind their public image as humble warrior monks, the Knights Templar wielded extraordinary political influence that extended far beyond the battlefield. As medieval Europe's preeminent financial institution, military power, and diplomatic force, they operated as a shadow government whose reach extended from royal bedchambers to papal councils. The Templars' political ascendancy began with their banking operations. By the mid-12th century, they had revolutionized European finance, creating a system allowing pilgrims and merchants to deposit funds in one Templar house and withdraw equivalent funds at another location, effectively inventing the traveler's check. This financial innovation soon expanded to serving nobility and royalty. Templar financial records, partially preserved in the Archives Nationales in Paris, reveal the extent of their involvement in royal finances. They managed the French royal treasury from their Paris temple, collected taxes for the English crown, and facilitated ransom payments for captured nobles, including the enormous sum for Richard the Lionheart's release from captivity. Kings became dependent on Templar loans to finance everything from castle construction to warfare. This financial leverage translated directly into political influence. Recently translated correspondence between Grand Masters and European monarchs reveals how Templars shaped major political decisions through a combination of financial pressure and strategic counsel. When Philip II of France contemplated abandoning the Third Crusade, Templar Grand Master Robert de Sablé threatened to withdraw financial support for his domestic programs, effectively forcing the king's continued participation. The Templars' diplomatic role proved equally significant. Operating across Christian and Muslim territories, they served as intermediaries in negotiations between opposing forces. Documents in the Vatican archives reveal their critical role in negotiating the Treaty of Jaffa, 1192, between Richard I and Saladin. Their representatives regularly attended royal councils throughout Europe and served as advisors to successive popes. This political capital allowed the Templars to secure unprecedented privileges. Through a series of papal bulls, they answered only to the Pope, exempt from local taxes and laws. They could cross any border freely, build churches without episcopal approval, and collect their own taxes. These privileges created what historians now recognize as a state within states, an autonomous transnational entity operating alongside traditional power structures. Newly analyzed evidence from the Knights trial reveals how this political independence ultimately proved their undoing. Philip IV's decision to move against the order came after they refused to approve further loans for his wars against England. The king's financial desperation coincided with the Templars' rejection of his proposal to merge them with the Hospitallers under French royal control, a move that would have given him access to their combined wealth. Some historians now suggest the Templars were developing plans for a sovereign territory, perhaps in the Languedoc region or on Cyprus, where they might establish a permanent independent state. Correspondence between the last Grand Master Jacques de Molay and high-ranking officials in Aragon hints at negotiations for territorial autonomy in exchange for military support against the Moors. The speed and coordination of Philip IV's attack against the Templars, arresting knights simultaneously across France, speaks to his fear of their political influence. After their dissolution, several prominent Templar administrators mysteriously appeared in royal service, suggesting some political networks survived the order's official demise. The Knights Templars' political legacy extends beyond their formal existence. Their pioneering financial systems laid groundwork for modern banking, while their transnational organization provided an early template for international entities operating across sovereign boundaries. In their fusion of economic, military, and diplomatic power, they presaged modern global corporations, entities whose influence sometimes rivals traditional nation-states. Among the most persistent and intriguing theories surrounding the Knights Templar involves their possession of advanced knowledge, architectural, mathematical, navigational, and scientific, that exceeded typical medieval European understanding. Their distinctive buildings, military innovations, and apparent geographical insights have fueled speculation about secret knowledge possibly acquired during their occupation of Temple Mount in Jerusalem. The Templars' architectural achievements remain their most visible legacy. Their distinctive round churches, modeled after the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, employed design principles seemingly ahead of their time. Recent architectural analysis of Templar structures reveals sophisticated use of sacred geometry, precise astronomical alignments, and acoustic engineering that created spaces with remarkable sound properties. Temple Church in London, one of the best preserved Templar churches, demonstrates these principles clearly. Its perfect circular design incorporates the golden ratio throughout its proportions. Acoustic engineers have identified specific spots within the church where sounds cancel each other out completely, creating silent zones that would allow for private conversations even in a crowded space. Were these architectural features mere aesthetic choices, or did they serve specific ceremonial or practical purposes? Templar fortresses in the Holy Land represented military architecture at its medieval pinnacle. Their castles featured innovative defensive elements like concentric walls, murder holes, and sophisticated water collection systems that allowed them to withstand lengthy sieges. Archaeological excavations at Templar sites in Israel have uncovered evidence of ventilation systems and sewage management far advanced for their era. Perhaps most compelling are the geographical anomalies associated with the order. Medieval maps were notoriously inaccurate, yet documents found in Templar preceptories included remarkably precise navigational charts. The Zeno map, allegedly based on Templar knowledge, shows North American coastlines with surprising accuracy, centuries before Columbus. Several 14th century maps in European archives show land masses resembling Antarctica, not officially discovered until 1820. Did the Templars possess ancient knowledge preserved from earlier civilizations? Their Jerusalem headquarters on Temple Mount, built directly over the ruins of Solomon's Temple, afforded unique archaeological access. Hebrew texts mention vast libraries and repositories of knowledge hidden beneath the temple before its destruction by Roman forces. During the Templars' excavations beneath Temple Mount, confirmed by archaeological evidence discovered in the 1860s, they potentially uncovered these ancient repositories. The copper scroll, discovered among the Dead Sea Scrolls, details locations of hidden treasures and documents from the Jerusalem Temple. Some scholars propose the Templars may have discovered similar scrolls, providing maps to these caches of ancient knowledge. The order included converted Jews familiar with Hebrew texts and traditions who could have interpreted such findings. Nautical connections provide another avenue for advanced knowledge acquisition. The Templars maintained their own fleet, operating from ports like La Rochelle in France and Acre in the Holy Land. Maritime records indicate their ships undertook voyages beyond the established Mediterranean routes. Their rule contains specific regulations for maritime operations, including navigational techniques resembling later Portuguese methods used during the Age of Exploration. The Templars' apparent preservation and utilization of ancient knowledge may explain why their archives were so thoroughly destroyed after their suppression. Not just financial records, but their entire library of manuscripts. When Jacques de Molay faced execution, he allegedly entrusted key documents to his nephew, instructing him to safeguard this knowledge for future generations. These architectural and navigational secrets potentially influenced subsequent developments in European exploration and building. After the order's dissolution, many Templar knights found refuge in Portugal, where several served as navigators for Prince Henry the Navigator's expeditions. The first Gothic cathedrals emerged shortly after Templar architects returned from the Holy Land, suggesting a transfer of architectural knowledge. While mainstream historians remain skeptical about claims of dramatic secret knowledge, the Templars undeniably operated at the crossroads of multiple knowledge traditions: European, Byzantine, Islamic, and Jewish, positioning them to synthesize diverse intellectual currents into practical innovations that appeared almost magical to contemporary observers. The official narrative ends with the Knights Templars' dissolution in 1312 and their last Grand Master's execution in 1314. Yet this apparent finality conceals what may be the Order's greatest secret: their potential survival beyond official extinction. A growing body of evidence suggests the Templars' abrupt disappearance may have been less a destruction than a transformation. The incomplete nature of the Templars' suppression has long puzzled historians. Despite coordinated arrests in France, the vast majority of Templars, approximately 90% of the Order's membership, were never apprehended. Official records document only about 600 arrests out of an estimated 15,000 members. What happened to the thousands of trained warriors, administrators, and sailors who comprised this powerful organization? Recently translated Portuguese documents reveal that King Dinis negotiated with Pope Clement V to protect Templars within his kingdom. Rather than dissolving the order, he simply renamed it the Order of Christ, transferring all Templar properties, personnel, and privileges to this new entity. The distinctive Templar red cross remained on their sails, the same sails that later carried Portuguese explorers to the New World. Scotland provides another refuge narrative. After Robert the Bruce received papal excommunication for murdering his rival in a church, he had little incentive to enforce papal orders dissolving the Templars. Scottish historical records show an influx of French knights arriving precisely as the Templar persecution intensified in France. At the Battle of Bannockburn in 1314, the same year de Molay was executed, Bruce's outnumbered forces achieved a stunning victory, allegedly aided by a mysterious contingent of knights who appeared at a critical moment. The Scottish connection strengthens with the Sinclair family of Rosslyn. Their chapel, built a century after the Templar dissolution, incorporates distinctive Templar symbolism, including carvings of the Jerusalem Temple and Templar crosses. Henry Sinclair, Earl of Orkney, allegedly led an expedition to North America in 1398, possibly using Templar navigational knowledge. Archaeological anomalies in Nova Scotia and New England, including the controversial Newport Tower, bear architectural similarities to Templar constructions. Switzerland's emergence as a unified, independent confederation coincides suspiciously with the Templar suppression. The Swiss flag, a red cross on white background, inverts Templar colors. Swiss banking secrecy traditions, established in this period, mirror Templar financial practices. Local legends in Swiss mountain communities speak of white-cloaked warriors arriving with substantial wealth, teaching military techniques that transformed Swiss mercenaries into Europe's most formidable fighting force. Freemasonry represents perhaps the most enduring Templar survival theory. Masonic traditions explicitly claim Templar heritage, incorporating similar initiation rites, symbols, and organizational structures. The sudden appearance of organized Masonic lodges in the early 18th century, with established rituals and hierarchies, suggests they may have existed unofficially long before their public emergence. Templar symbols permeate Masonic imagery, and early Masonic writings reference preserving ancient knowledge through periods of persecution. Documentary evidence supporting these connections continues to emerge. The Larminius Charter, a controversial document first revealed in 1705, purports to show an unbroken line of Templar Grand Masters following de Molay's execution. While its authenticity remains disputed, recent carbon dating and linguistic analysis suggest at least its parchment originates from the appropriate period. Archaeological findings occasionally provide tantalizing physical evidence. A 2016 excavation at a former Templar site in Tarragona, Spain, uncovered a hidden chamber containing documents sealed with what appears to be the Templar seal, dating from decades after their supposed dissolution. The contents remain under study by Spanish authorities. The Templars possessed the resources, international network, and motivation to orchestrate their survival. With naval vessels, established preceptories across Europe, and a sophisticated communication system, they had both means and opportunity to preserve their organization beneath a veil of official dissolution. Whether through literal survival or ideological continuation, the Templar influence extended well beyond 1314. Their banking innovations, architectural techniques, navigational knowledge, and organizational structures reappeared in various forms throughout subsequent centuries, suggesting that while the Knights Templar may have disappeared from public view, their secrets and legacy continued flowing through European history like an underground river, occasionally surfacing in unexpected places. The Knights Templar stand as medieval history's most perfect enigma, at once thoroughly documented in historical records, yet shrouded in layers of mystery that continue to resist complete illumination. Their brief, meteoric existence transformed European society, while the circumstances of their dramatic fall ensure they remain objects of fascination 9 centuries later. The 5 secrets explored here, hidden treasures, mysterious initiation rites, political machinations, advanced knowledge, and theories of survival, reveal the multi-dimensional nature of the Templar legacy. They were simultaneously monks and warriors, bankers and diplomats, architects and navigators, operating at the intersection of religion and politics, East and West, ancient wisdom and emerging modernity. Perhaps this complexity explains our enduring fascination with the order. In an age of specialization, the Templars represent a holistic integration of seemingly contradictory elements: spiritual devotion alongside worldly power, monastic discipline alongside innovative thinking, traditional values alongside revolutionary practices. Their ability to transcend conventional categories made them both extraordinarily successful and ultimately vulnerable to misunderstanding and persecution. Modern scholarship continues separating Templar fact from fiction, a process complicated by centuries of myth-making and deliberate document destruction. Yet each new archaeological discovery, each newly translated manuscript, each application of modern scientific techniques to Templar sites adds another piece to this historical puzzle. The emerging picture suggests an organization even more significant and complex than popular culture portrays. What remains indisputable is the Templars' transformative impact on Western civilization. Their banking innovations laid groundwork for modern financial systems. Their architectural achievements influenced sacred buildings for centuries. Their international organization provided a template for transnational entities. Their navigation possibly contributed to the age of exploration. Even their suppression shaped religious and political developments throughout Europe. If indeed some Templar knowledge, traditions, or organizational structures survived underground, whether through Freemasonry, Portuguese navigators, Scottish noble families, or Swiss Confederates, their influence extends even further. The rapid scientific and cultural flowering of Renaissance Europe, appearing just generations after the Templar suppression, suggests the possible resurfacing of knowledge temporarily driven underground. As we continue excavating the physical and documentary evidence of Templar activities, we must maintain the delicate balance between scholarly skepticism and imaginative possibility. The Knights Templar deserve neither uncritical romanticization nor dismissive debunking. Their true legacy exists in that liminal space where documented history meets enduring mystery, a space where the most fascinating aspects of human experience often reside. Perhaps that represents the greatest Templar secret of all, that true understanding requires integrating seemingly opposite approaches: rational analysis and intuitive insight, documented facts and interpretive leaps, historical specificity, and universal patterns. In this integration of apparent opposites, we might finally glimpse the unified vision that made these warrior monks such a singular phenomenon in Western history.